Hello, this is Christian. Welcome to Java 2. In this video, I'm going to go over the factorial table in JSF as found in chapter 39, exercise 39.1. As you see here on the screen, this is a factorial exercise. Basically, factorial is just a number that is the total product of all the numbers from 0 up to the number. Okay, so for example, the factorial of 2 is 2 times 1 times 0, which is always 1 for the factorial of 0 is always 1, right? So you multiply those to get the total here. Factorial of 4 is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and it pretty much end there. Okay? So we're going to build this table here. This is a similar exercise in the Java server pages, JSP, and a similar one which I think we did way back in chapter 34, if I'm not mistaken, and the servlet. Okay, so let's build this file. I'm going to go in here and use the same JSF demo here we did earlier in the videos, but I'm going to create a new file here. We'll just call it new. You know what? I'm just going to copy one of these here. So the index is fine. Just copy, Control C, Control V to paste it, and we'll call this just I'll call it what? Chapter 39.1. Okay, that's just the file name, and open that file, and then I will change this to JSF chapter 39.1, and then we'll remove all these links here. We don't need these links. And we'll take all these out. The H output here will be the actual output message, so I could put that in here, but let's create a new class for the bean. So the bean should be like going to be factorial or something, right? So let's go in here and create a new class. What should we call it? I guess we can call it just maybe factorial or something, right? So factorial, call it factorial, and we need a constructor for the bean, and this is pretty good. Okay, so we'll leave it here. I need a. If you look at this table here, right? Let me just go back and load that file. You have the numbers. So here is from 0 to 10. You can set that to 10 as the default if you want. But you should also be able to allow it to change to a different number if that's fine too, reading the input. So we'll just do a default value first. Okay, so we need a n or a number for that. So we add that as a property or field in the class. So right in here, I'm going to have, like maybe up here somewhere, I have a private int. This is the number, so we'll just call it num, right? And when you create this bean, we want to set the num to 10. Okay, and then you also want to manage the bean, so manage bean, and the name will be just factorial, right? The default is factorial, so we don't have to give it a name, it's fine. And just say we're going to use just the view scope for this one. Okay, import the faces, put that asterisk there, and then we need to create the setters and getters for the num. You can do here and just put mouse over that, create setter and getter, just click OK. We got that done here, so we're good to go. Alright, so what we're going to do is that if you look at this here, the factorial, so basically you want to build a table. We're going to call this, so we'll call it factorial, not message, we call it just title. Okay, and I just want to, play with this a little bit. Instead of saying something like this, instead of saying like display factorials, you could do that here, right? Display factorials. Okay, you can do that, that's fine. but I want to have some fun, so I want to put that inside the title inside here. So I'm going to have like a private string in the title, right? And initially in the constructor I would have set title, and then we'll put display factorials. Okay, and we'll do a setter and getter for the title as well. So again, put your mouse over that, click create setter and getter, okay, and then we got that good to go. So now if I save this now, if I run, it should display the factorials here, so which is good, and then we'll display the table right underneath that. Okay, so the table, so typically you would just do like, you know, table, right, and then you have a tr, and then that's for the td, and then we have numbers, the number here, and then we have the second column. This is the factorial, right? Just kind of matching what they have here, number factorial. And then this will be just you put this in a loop, right? You repeat that 10 or x times. So you got that first row. The second row will be something like this. So here we have, like, for example, if it's 0, and then that will be 1, right? Okay, and then the second row would be 1, and then 1, and so forth. So this is repeating. So you could build in your code so that this will be a repeating process. Okay, so what you want to do is that instead of putting everything here, you could put this in the code inside the class and return a string of all these inside a string, and we print it here. So in other words, you would have something like this. I'll put like h output text, and the value is going to return as a being property, maybe like factorial dot you know, what do we call it? Maybe what should we say? Show, right? Show. You can something like show factorial. Or just show, right? If you put show like that, and then that should put the factorial table here. Okay. So show again follows the same rule. Factorial.show. That means that you should have a function here somewhere. We put it at the top here is fine. Call public string get show. Okay, and this is going to return a string of, maybe we call it HTML, I guess. Okay, and then of course you can see that it's not a variable, so you could do here is string HTML is equal to, and we'll put that table here, right? So it will be this if you put this together in a string. It's easier to see that way. So I could put that here, right? And you can build your table here first and copy, put it in here as a string. Okay, and then I have the HTML is concatenate that with the next string, which is in this case is going to be this, but it's going to be in a loop, right? So I can copy this, put it in here, but really it's a loop. So to do that, I would put here maybe something like this. I do like maybe a for loop, right? So I put like for int I is from 0 to I less than num, including num, right? Whatever this num is, and if it's 10, it's going to be 10, and then we'll just I plus plus. And we'll loop that, and then now we want to print this out, each row, right? So now we could put this inside here. Inside here will go something like this. tr, and then here will be, instead of 0 will be I, so we need to concatenate that with the I, and then td, and then the next one will be the actual factorial, so it will be something like that, and then plus our other strings table tag, and there's our repetition, our row there. And then finally at the end we want to close our table tag, and then we'll return the HTML back to the bean object, and it will be rendered. So I don't need this anymore, it will be rendered right in here. So display the table here. So as you can see, it sends that to the view. And notice again, I don't have to put the show, right? Get show. Again, if you look at it, it doesn't make sense. Maybe we should call it get a get factorial. No, I don't want to get response. Maybe just response. Call it response. Get response. How's that? Get response. And here will be just response. Okay. Again, you can use the bean, the property, or you can go and use get response like this and call the actual method. Either way is fine. Okay. So it doesn't matter. But I'm going to use just the response. And so we get a response here, and this will be the factorial itself. So really, I should have another function to calculate the factorial, right? So maybe we'll do like compute factorial, and we'll pass the I to it. Okay, and so we'll have another function here to compute that. We could do it public or private, doesn't matter, just use internally. We'll just use public, is fine. So return int type compute factorial. We're going to pass in the int of n. Okay, and we're going to return something. So you have two methods here. You can do the one in the book, which is a recursion. That means that if you look at the process in here, inside where is it at? Recursion, this is 39. That's just the exercise. I know it's in the book somewhere. I don't remember where it is, but well, anyway, I think the formula is like this. If you want to say if the n is equal to 0, if that's the case, okay, then you want to return 1. Okay, else, so we put return 1, else, then return this recursion, which is n times the factorial of compute factorial of n minus 1. So you increase that by 1 every time. I think that's it, right? Or let me format this. Okay, so I think this is the formula for factorial. If it's 0, then you return 1. You could do like if this is 0 or n equals 1, either one. Okay, then you don't have to process it. Otherwise, just return 1. Okay, you're done basically. Okay, so and it will so if it's 0, it goes compute 0, goes in here 0, return 1. Okay, then goes to I is 1, and then 1 is also 1. I is 2. Oh, 2 is not this, so you go 2 here. So 2 times a factorial of 2 minus 1 is 1. So 2 times 1 is 2, and so on. Okay, so seems about right. Okay, so let's save this and let's see if that's correct. Now, let me go ahead and then refresh. Okay, let me just republish this. Okay, reload. And well, we got something, except that you actually get the entire string, right? Which is not what we want. So in other words, if I copy this whole string here, okay, if I copy this, put it in here, right? See that the actual HTML code is in here. If I do another format, you see they actually print the correct table, looks like. And if you go back here again, refresh, actually do a reload, okay, and then refresh. So there's our table. Looks good, except we don't. This is, I just copied this, put in here. You can see it, but usually this is the one that we want. Okay, so to fix this problem, you have to do one thing. So let me just undo this. You have to add another parameter here. If you are returning data from the Java class, and if it comes in the form of HTML tags like this here, okay, you have to remove the escape. What that means is that by default there is another parameter here called escape, and the default setting is set to true. Okay, what that means is that when you send this data over, it will escape every of these special characters, and it changes to the symbol like ampersand less than, like that. Okay, the ampersand greater than, and so forth. So when you get that outside, what you get is actually not the actual HTML code, but you get the text itself. So it's been displayed here. So as you can see, if you do a source code view, you see that it changes all that to the LT, GT, and so on. And that's not what we want. So what you want to do is you want to turn that off. So set that to false. Okay, set to false. And then now if you well, I'll just undo that. I don't want to use that in there. And then republish, request, respond, refresh it, and you see that now it's correctly, right? Okay, except you want to set the border and all the other stuff to maybe like a different style and so on. So we could do something like, in the book I think it looks red, we could change the color to that. We can add a style here as well. You can say style is going to be, this is just CSS, the color will be just say blue. Okay, if you do that, and then again, so color is blue. Alright, and then I'll let you take care of the formatting, the border and so forth. But this is pretty much it. Okay, so back in here, the number is 10. If I change this to 5, okay, and then you republish, refresh, it's now 5. Okay, so that's pretty cool, right? If you want to do a little bit more fun, you could do in such a way so that here maybe you might have an input up here. So you could say something like hform, okay, and then you have an input, hinput text, and the value is going to be factorial dot num. That's what we use. And then you have a button, command button, and the value is just say compute factorial, and that should load it, and then it will run the rest of that. Put a HR here. Okay, so it should synchronize or link this factorial num to this num here. Okay, and then it will do the set num and get num and so on. So instead of 5, it's gonna so initially it'll be 5, but then after that you can change the actual number. And let's see if that is the case. So let's go back here, refresh, republish, refresh. So initially it's 5. It's set to 5 because when we initialize it, it's the 5, right? If I put 8 here, okay. So when I instantiate my object right here, when I call Factorial, the first thing it does is it calls this Factorial, set the number to 8, okay, set the title, and then it's waiting for the input, but then it will compute, it will already display the title here, and then it will actually compute the factorial of 5 or 8 already, whatever that is, right? That's why you see it here. Right there, it's live. So again, it should now be 8 because we changed it to 8. Okay, so it's live. And if I want to change that to 4, click Factorial, you see that it changes right away without reloading the page. No refresh. Okay, and this is one of the coolest thing about JSF, which is also the MVC. Okay, so 10.9 and so on. So there you go. I hope this is helpful. You can style this table here using CSS. You can do that directly in here. Okay, or you can add a CSS style on the top here, and just like you're playing HTML, right? If you want to do something like, for example, you know, style, and let's just say you want to call this give it a class name, maybe like table, and you want to call the color of red instead of blue. Okay, put that there. And here, instead of this color, you can give it a color and a style name, style class. Okay, and then you just say the class is called table. Okay, this is the class name. Will match the dot table here. Okay, so let's save that and refresh, reload, republish, refresh, and then you'll see that it's now red, right? So you look at the source view, it's the style, the table here, okay, and then you can see that in the table or the display as a class called table, which you just created. Okay, so have fun with this, and if you have any questions, again, send me an email or put a message below, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Otherwise, have fun. Thanks.